Sweatbox. We back, we live, we active, you know the deal. It's your boy, and today we talking about The Walking Dead. That's right, The Walking Dead is back. Season 7, Episode 9, the mid-season premiere called Rockin' the Road. Let's talk about it, people. So you guys know I am super critical of this show. Super critical of this show. But I liked this episode. I liked this episode a lot. A lot. I was very impressed with this episode. It picks up right where the mid-season finale left off. We get a payoff of that little bonus scene of the Boots spying on Father Gabriel as he's taking watch. That's where the show starts. Father Gabriel leaves his post, hits the food pantry, cleans it out, hits some weapons, cleans them out, gets in a car, and leaves with some unknown individual. And then we get our opening credits. So, are we to believe that Father Gregory's a traitor? Did he really just take all the food and dip on all the survivors? We'll get back to that. But the main story of this episode is Rick and the gang recruiting to go and fight the Saviors. And we started Hilltop with an extremely entertaining scene of our survivors trying to convince Gregory, aka Total Pussy, Gregory, to join up and help fight the Saviors, but he's just not hearing it. At any point, I was just waiting for them to be like, you know what? You're not shit, and they were just gonna beat the shit out of him. I was totally waiting for that to happen. It didn't happen in this episode, but he's living on borrowed time, man. There's just no way Gregory can continue to survive. So, while Jesus and those guys do help, Gregory's no help. So they go outside, but there are a bunch of Hilltop residents who do want to fight. And so there's a mild success there. They don't get the entire Hilltop, and they don't get Gregory's support, but they don't really need Gregory. So that's a mild success there. As they're getting ready to leave, we get that scene that we were shown at the end of the mid-season finale of them talking about how they're going to fight Negan, how there's stuff like that. Negan has outposts, yada, yada, yada. We got that scene. If you've seen that scene, so we got that. Then they head to the kingdom. Yes, we get to meet King Ezekiel again. For only the second time, we see King Ezekiel. I had forgotten how much I like him and his tiger. And what's his one? I got the cast list because I don't remember his name. What's his man's name? The big Samoan-looking dude. Hawaiian. He might be Hawaiian. I don't want to offend anybody, but he's an awesome character. And let me remember his name. It's right here. Give me 2 more seconds. It was... Oh, I just had it. Anyway, we'll find it in a minute. You guys know who I'm talking about. He's an awesome character. But, yeah, the big Samoan dude who carries the weapon protects King Ezekiel. So one of the best scenes of the episode is when the gang finally meets King Ezekiel. And they're all staying at the back of the room, and Jesus is like, "Oh yeah, I forgot, he has a tiger." They're like, "Yeah." So they go and they have the meeting with King Ezekiel. Rick lays out his plan and his need for the kingdom's help in fighting the Saviors. And while initially King Ezekiel does not want to get involved, let me see who's. You know I'm horrible with names, so you guys got to bear with me. Richard of the Kingdom, he really wants to fight this. And if you remember last season, they had that whole thing where he talks about it and he tries to get Morgan and Carol on board, and they're not on board. So he goes to that little shed in the middle of nowhere and has a little mini breakdown. But he's on board, and King Ezekiel, not so much, but it's pretty much a given that he's going to be on board. He didn't full out give his support for this episode, but he's going to be on board. Yeah, so Jerry, that's the dude's name who protects King Ezekiel. I knew we would get there eventually. His name is Jerry. I had to go to the cast list to figure it out. But yeah, this was, like I said, I really liked this episode. I liked all the stuff we saw in the kingdom. We got a little bit of glimpse of Carol. Then we got some reunions also. We also got a reunion of Morgan in the group. Morgan finds out about the people that Negan killed, i.e. Glenn and Abraham, and then all the Alexandrians that he killed. And there's a little scene where Rosita's like, "You gonna tell us you were right?" And he was like, "Nah." He realizes what's happening. He knows what's gonna have to happen in order for the saviors to be dealt with. Couple notes about Morgan's storyline in this. It's worthy to note that he did lie to Rick about not knowing where Carol was at. That was an interesting take. He did lie to Rick about not knowing where Carol was at. So, yeah. It was interesting to see how the kingdom, the dynamic of the kingdom plays out. Every time we see King Ezekiel talk, it's always very interesting because we know he's playing a role. You know what I'm saying? He was a theater actor, so we know he's playing a role. But these people are survivors. This is their first time meeting King Ezekiel. So they don't know about it. Despite the fact that Shiva the tiger has them all shook. They don't really know what to make of that. But we know the kingdom's going to come around. And it was good to see the introduction. They got along well. They allowed Daryl to stay there with them at the kingdom. So that way he didn't have to go back to Alexandria because the saviors are going to know he's missing. So then after that, we get the highlight scene of the episode. Our survivors are on the road and they see the saviors' base. And the saviors have set up a booby trap that I initially thought was for our survivors, but no, it was to prevent a horde of zombies from reaching their base. So they put a line of explosives across the road, which our survivors stole almost all of the explosives, which gives them an edge. They're going to need those to blow some people up, so that's cool. And then the best scene of the episode by far, one of the best scenes that I've ever seen on The Walking Dead. Rick and Michonne get in two cars with a cable strung beneath the two cars, a metal cable, and they plow through at least 1,000, 2,000 walkers and just cut them in half, and it was epic. That was an awesome scene. Clap of applause for The Walking Dead for that scene. I heard my man Mark Ellis over at Schmo say that was the equivalent of the Battle of the Bastards for The Walking Dead. I'm not going to go that far, but it was an epic scene. That was, I'm watching the episode and I was into it, but when that scene came up, I came up out my seat with a woo! Because that was impressive. It was very impressive. I love the scene with the cars and the cable and the slicing of the thousands of walkers. It was awesome. It was very good. Oh, and then we got an explosion to finish it off. An explosion that killed another couple hundred walkers too. So that was just an epic scene all around. That scene by itself was worth watching, and it made the episode. So this was a really good episode. So then they get back to Alexandria, and Simon and some of the saviors who are looking for Daryl because we hear over the radio conversation Negan announcing that Fat Joey's been killed. And Daryl has escaped, so they send out a team to go find Daryl. And the first place they go is Alexandria, and Daryl's not there, of course. He was left at the kingdom, safe. He's holding up at the kingdom for safety. It was a great scene. Every time we get Simon on the scene, aka Trevor from Grand Theft Auto, every time we get Simon, I really like him. He's a good actor, and I like the character that he plays on the show. He does a good job. They go into Alexandria, they search for Daryl. They no sign of him, and that's when they find out about all the food that's missing, and Father Gabriel's gone. So then they go on the search for Father Gabriel because they find a note that Gabriel left that says boat, that shows he knows about the houseboat trip that Rick and, I gotta look up his name because I don't remember his name. Give me another 2 seconds. Rick and Aaron went on. When Rick and Aaron went on the scavenging mission, and they found that houseboat with the zombies in the water and that, yeah. So that's what they had. So they go searching for Father Gabriel, and the episode ends with them being surrounded by a bunch of crazy-looking women with guns and knives, and they're fully surrounded. And instead of them looking terrified, Rick just has a smile on his face, like, "Yeah, buddy." Now, originally, I thought these were the people from Oceanside because it was all the chicks, and I thought for sure that was the Oceanside people with the guns, but I don't think it is now. After listening to Talking Dead, and I don't think that's the Oceanside. It might still be, I don't know, but I don't think it's Oceanside. But if it is, we'll see. But apparently, these are the people that Father Gregory took the supplies to, and so now do we have a new bond growing with these people and our survivors? I don't know, but I do know that I like this episode a lot. I like the story progression. I love how they used Gregory as just a terrible person who you know is going to get killed, and we want to see him get killed. At this point, if you're not rooting for Gregory's death, I don't know why you're watching the show, because this is his death is the type of deaths that this show pays off very well. So his death is going to be good. I like the introduction of King Ezekiel to the rest of our survivors. That whole scene, the scene with Shiva, was awesome. When they recognize he has a tiger, the look on all of their faces, how they're just huddled up in the doorway, was awesome. And then, of course, the pinnacle of the episode, the slicing down of thousands of walkers with the car tow line, was just epic. That was just epic. So, you know I'm very critical of this show when it does bad, and it does bad quite often, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the good. This was a good episode. Way to bring the season back, and I hope the season as a whole finishes strong, because I got a lot of people thinking that this is going to be a very fast-paced moving second half of the season. I'm hoping so. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. This episode really brought me back in for a guy who I've seen the entire series of Walking Dead, and I haven't been on board with it. I'm not nearly as devoted or committed to this show as I am, say, Game of Thrones. I don't have the connection to the characters that I have on, say, Game of Thrones. But I'm on board. I'm back on board after what I loved. I loved the season premiere. I loved the season premiere with the deaths of Abraham and Glenn. And then the rest of the season, while I was into it, it wasn't horrible. Had a lot of down episodes for me. But this episode was not one of them. Rockin' the Road gets big thumbs up from me. I like this episode a lot. I hope you guys can keep it up, Walking Dead. I'm looking forward to it. Alright, man. That's it. This is your Walking Dead review. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Did you like this episode? What did you think of this episode? How do you think it's going to carry over to the rest of the season? Let your boy know in the comment section. And also make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It's your boy, Mr. Von, Mr. Von's channel, Sweatbox. Until next time, you know how we do. 100, y'all. Peace.